So I'm Elizabeth Brown, and this is my work wife, Karen Skeen. And we've been working together for a long, long time and do a lot of things together, including I'm in private practice as well as Karen and I run Hold Me Tight workshops, psychoeducational workshops for couples. And we also started the couples clinic at GAZAP together. And I just love this work. And I'm just really thrilled to have you guys here today because we're talking about something really important in terms of couples and connection and people by your side and what happens in stressful times. So I'm just thrilled to be here. And Karen?
All right, I'm Karen Skeen. I teach a number of different classes at GAZAP, but one of my absolute passion projects that Elizabeth and I have worked on together is the Couples Clinic, where we are training a number of our graduate students to do work with couples. They see an amazingly diverse range of couples. And so this has been a particularly interesting time for us. We've been navigating our own practices and our own individuals and couples into this weird online format. And we've been working with our students and their couples shifting to this. So it's put us in touch with a lot of obviously some of the stresses are very classical couple stresses, but some of them really are given some extra weight and push and variations because of the times that we're in. Okay, so, oops, there we go. So we are going to be doing this very much from an attachment perspective based on the needs that we all have from our very first breath to our last breath for each other. And how we are strong and resilient when we acknowledge that and work to make those connections as solid as we can, and how distressed we are when they're not. So it's been, as you know, don't have to tell anyone because this is a time that has affected us all in just multiple ways from multiple vectors. So COVID-19 has been assaulting our sense of safety. We have a racial pandemic, uncertainty about those in power, and we've seen couples struggle with scenarios uniquely shaped by this era. So we're going to introduce some of these scenarios we've seen as therapists and then reflect on some of the challenges of this time. And then we're going to relate those scenarios to attachment theory and neurobiology as ways of maybe helping us understand and navigating them a little bit better. Do you want to talk about the scenarios?
Sure. So we see a lot of different things now. Because COVID-19 is really assaulting us at our doorstep, right? And the racial pandemic, and so the safety outside, the uncertainty of so many things, the uncertainty of about those in power. So we are feeling a very different thing, and so we see things like in a couple, one person is terrified for their life and the other one feels like the danger is being overestimated. We see people who are disagreeing in terms of what we need to do with our kids, that, you know, we worry about the kids not having contact with others and we want them to have that developmental time with peers. And at the same time, one partner might feel like that if we allow that, then the whole family is endangered, and it's terrifying. And then we have people that, you know, in this time when, you know, we're supposed to be socially distancing, but did you really? You know, so there's issues of trust. You know, when one person feels very strongly about approaching it in one way and one person feels very differently about it, and the concern that their partner is really abiding or upholding what they felt like they agreed upon. And the hard part is that, you know, in couples, there are always going to be unresolvable issues that occur in any relationship. And as a couple, we kind of say, okay, you know, you feel very strongly about that. I feel very strongly about this. And we can kind of go our ways and love them up for even being different than you. However, that doesn't really work anymore because our usual solutions, you do it your way, you fold the laundry your way, I'll do it my way, you do blah, blah, I do this, I'm not really comfortable with that, or I don't agree with you on that, I do this. But that doesn't work anymore because it's not just annoyance, it's if you do it your way, are you endangering me? And if I do it your way, am I trapping you in this household? And so the normal ways in which we can work through solutions don't really work. So I just want to say that, we brought up a couple of scenarios. What we're going to do is we're going to circle back to those conversations a little bit later, um, and talk about how we can do it differently, how we can have conversations about the things that we want to have conversations about that are so scary. Because when we feel like our partner's not on the same page and we're fearing for our life, it brings up all kinds of feelings. And in this, we're going to look at it in terms of the attachment perspective. How we connect with others really impacts on how we approach these really unresolvable issues, and the threat that endures.
Okay. So the attachment perspective, I think, is a particularly useful lens here because we are wired as physical beings, as animals, to connect with each other. And we feel most safe in the world when that connection feels secure, when we're securely attached to a loved other. And we function best in the presence of a secure bond. And I think one of the things that attachment theory has really brought to the field is the predictable ways that we can strengthen this bond and predictable ways that weaken it. And then this becomes a very useful framework for understanding personality development, attachment styles, how they interact with each other, as well as the roots of affect regulation, which we're going to be discussing also a little bit later. And we tend to have this kind of myth of the unitary self, that my personality is my personality, this is who I am. But we are actually many different selves at different times, depending on what we're dealing with, depending on what parts of our brains are online or offline. So we know that our best selves emerge when we feel safely connected to another, when we feel that we are seen and heard, and when we know that we have a safe haven in times of stress, that there is someone in this world who has our back, someone who will pick us up by the side of the road with a flat tire at 2 a.m., that will be there for us when we are distressed and facing loss, facing illness. We just know that we do better. We're our better self in that circumstance. And our worst selves emerge, and obviously this is on a continuum, but our worst selves emerge when we don't have that sense of safe connection, when we aren't feeling seen or heard, and like we don't matter to somebody, and feeling alone in a dangerous world. And this is just a very biological thing. It's the animal who's alone and cut off from the herd who gets eaten by the lions and tigers. So that is when all of these other programs come online that don't necessarily help us interact as our best selves with a partner. And in times of stress, our attachment needs are especially activated. So we can, and that's actually the best time to observe, if you're studying it, what attachment needs are like and how they come online and how different people express them. Because when we're all sitting around being comfortable and happy, they're not as front and center. But in these times of stress, they matter a great deal. And we turn for comfort and support to those we trust and gain strength from that. And we're going to see this in the following video, where this is for those of you who've taken any psych, really from kind of Psych 101 on up, you may be familiar with Harlow's monkey, where baby monkeys attach to the soft and cuddly cloth mother, as opposed to the wire mother, even prioritizing it over food. The attachment need is so strong. So this is a little bit of a trigger warning because you do see a baby monkey upset, but you also see the response to that. And we'll roll tape. And hopefully I've heard some of the videos are having a little trouble today, so hopefully this plays okay. And what we want you to do is to think of the diabolical object as COVID-19.
Now, in this experiment, this is the apparatus we use. It looks diabolical. That's just the way the baby monkey feels about it. Flashing eyes, loud sound, moving mechanical parts, all of these things are designed to frighten a monkey. Now here we have a peaceful, resting baby monkey. Let's find out what his reactions to his mother are when we frighten him. He's scared, all right, and he does what any child will do in a similar situation. He runs away. It's more than running away. He was running to his mother, to touch her, to drive away his fear. Contact with the mother changes his entire personality. Look, now he's actually threatening the diabolical object. All right. This gives us part of the picture of the strength of infantile love.
Okay, going to discuss it, Elizabeth?
Yeah. So right, we feel so much stronger. You look at what happened at the beginning. This little monkey is terrified, runs to a secure object, even though it's only a cloth monkey, and then gets strength and courage, gets bigger, and can, kind of fight towards the diabolical object that somehow gets stronger and more agency. Right? That feels that he can take care of himself because he has this attachment figure, this secure figure by his side. So what we know is that when we have a safe figure by our side, we are stronger, we can deal with more, we can go out into the world more, we recover from surgery faster, we recover from illness faster. We can feel and deal in the world because we know somebody is by our side. So, however, right now, and, when we think about, what happens when we're little, if we know our mom is there, we can touch, like little kids when they're just learning to walk, we touch their thigh and then we run, and we walk a little bit and then we check to see if they're there, and then we come back and check, and then we go out and we can go further and further. That's what that monkey does, right? And the attachment figure helps people feel like they're safe in the world to do exploration, right? So, but now in COVID-19, we go back to earlier times when we don't have kind of the sense of agency. We go back to our adaptations from when we were younger in our families. And when we're younger and somebody is not by our side, we might withdraw, we might get angry, we might do all sorts of things because we have to survive. And so now when this is happening with COVID at our door, we can flip back to that place where we feel like we don't have our sense of agency anymore. And when we know, when we don't have an impact, when we don't feel like we have an impact on others or on the world, we feel more depressed, we feel scared, and we go to places that we ordinarily might not. The thing that we also know is the adaptations we might have developed as kids, which worked great, might not work so much right now, but we're flipped back there. And here we are feeling trapped, confined, and scared. And it's interesting, and Karen's going to talk about attachment styles in a minute, but one of the things I'm so acutely aware of is in this time, a lot of the extroverts are feeling like, yeah, get me out of here, right? Get me out of here. This is too much. And the introverts are going, yes, I get to stay in. And so those balances are even that much more exaggerated right here and now, because here we have what really appears to be danger at our door, and the partner that we feel we're so in tune with, all of a sudden we're misattuned, and we're kind of at odds about how to deal with it, because the danger is real and we have different ways of approaching it. Right. So as kids, we relied on our parents to keep us safe in the world. And guess what? Now the world isn't safe. So if our partner is seeing the world very differently than us, it really triggers an emotional reaction and causes so much distress. What we call is we flip out of that window of tolerance, like out of a grounded place where we feel connected with our partner, that we can lose our thinking brain when it comes to our partner, because it jangles us so much because we feel like there's threat in the world.
One of the things that I think has been interesting watching this unfold is that it hasn't been just one unitary experience. And one of the things that we've noticed as therapists is the difference in that early phase when everyone, the nation sort of shut down. Colleges across sent everybody home, things shut down. And of course, that it was scary, it was really hard, but there was like one set of rules. And one of the things we've noticed, and I think it's true on the national level too, this new phase where people are making different calls about what's safe and what's dangerous is particularly hard. And particularly when we and our partner are not on the same page. We're going to go just a little bit into attachment styles. I know many of you are very familiar with it. Some people may have less, but we're going to just very briefly touch on that in the ways that it might impact this. And because it does affect how we engage with the world and how we soothe ourselves, when the sense of the safety of the world shifts, we may be responding differently with different needs and different fears. So as just a very quick recap of some of the attachment issues, we can see it, and I love this. I think Elizabeth's husband Alan found this, and I've never seen it with the Peanuts characters, but I think it's a really kind of good mnemonic. There are two dimensions here. One where folks have a lower level of abandonment, and this may be because people were there for them consistently early on, and people who have high anxiety of abandonment. Folks whose early caregiving may have been very inconsistent, parents were traumatized, all kinds of things, making one very anxious about abandonment. And then on the vertical axis is proximity seeking. That's, do we regulate by engaging with other people and having them regulate us interactively? Or do we regulate and calm ourselves down by going inside and calming ourselves down within ourselves? And so with attachment, Peppermint Patty, there's not a lot of anxiety about abandonment. She can regulate by using other people and relationships. And she pretty much is able to sort of feel and deal. Schroeder, not so anxious about abandonment, but not really wanting to kind of be a lot with other people and regulate with them. And so he's more that dismissing style. We have Charlie Brown, who is more fearful, more worried about his place in the world, abandonment, all of that. And he's going to have a lot of anxiety. And then the Lucy character may be flipping back and forth, kind of like, remember Lucy, you never know what you're going to get. Some days she might hold the football for you, some days she might jerk it away. And so knowing our own style and our partner's style can really help us understand more where we're coming from they're coming from. And one of the big things that people had to navigate early on in the pandemic was time together and time apart. And this is one place where attachment styles can really impact it. So one person may just feel best when that other partner is just joined at their hip, going through every minute of every day together, and that feels really great. And oh, you're home forever. That's awesome, you know. And the other person like, I need lots of space. I need quiet time. I need not to have to talk or interact. And navigating those differences was one of the first issues I think a lot of couples had to deal with.
Right, because people come from very different attachment styles, right? I know for my husband and I, my husband comes from his mother was so anxious, and so the world was a dangerous place all the time. And so going out into the world was scary. And my family, you know, uh, if we were skiing and something was really scary, like I didn't want to go down a really steep incline, don't worry, just put your skis and go, not a big deal. So that was the other side, that dismissive side. So, we navigate the two places, and most couples come from different places. So you work on that all through your relationship. And then when this pandemic is knocking at the door, we have different experience. So in an important relationship, we convey things all the time. With our eyes, with our face, a look, a tone of voice, a sigh. If we're talking like this, we're communicating one thing. If we're talking softly, we communicate something else. There's a dance that goes on back and forth. And our partner is very attuned to what we're saying, and we're attuned to what they're saying. And that neural duet, we really talk about a neural duet that happens. And when we're really in sync, things go well. When we're not in sync, things do not go well. And because we are so attuned to what our partner is saying. And so one of the things, Karen's going to introduce this next video, but it's a mother and baby, and you can see what happens. And in the video with the mother and baby, it's very similar to what can happen or what happens with adult partners.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good introduction to this, that we're always, and the more important another person is to us, the more we are in that back and forth dance. So we're going to be showing you, and another sort of trigger warning, a baby is distressed, but only for a very short amount of time, and then there is reparation. But it's a very powerful demonstration of when you are used to that connection, that back and forth by all of these little means of communication. And that's gone, or it's not accessible to you, it's one of the most distressing experiences that people can have. When it's working, it's beautiful and joyful. And then when it isn't working, we go into states of high distress.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction. They react with negative emotions. They turn away. They feel the stress of it. They actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that normal stuff that goes on that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good. There's no reparation, and they're stuck in that really ugly situation.
Okay. Any comments you want to make on this before we move on, Elizabeth? Or?
I think that's good. Well, I'm mindful of time.
Right. All right. So we are next going to, again, speed this up along so we get to the whole thing. The window of tolerance. And we see this baby being kicked out of the window of tolerance by being cut off from the cues that she's used to getting from her mother. And basically this refers to, it's broadly used now in therapy and trauma and affect regulation. The idea that we want to stay in what we call the window of tolerance, which is where we can be our better selves, when we have both we're able to feel our feelings, but also to think and to regulate and to see the other person's point of view, all those good things. When we are getting enough threats, signals, things aren't right, we can flip out of that. And when we do, we can go one of two places. We can go to hyperarousal, where our sympathetic nervous system takes over and we have fight and flight responses. And when we do that, evolution has designed us so that when we go there, our thinking brain goes offline. We're going to have another demo of that with Dan Siegel in a minute too. Thinking brain goes offline because we want to have our responses immediate, fast. And on the other end, hypoarousal, where the danger is so great, there is nothing I can really do to protect myself, so I just shut down and hope the predator doesn't notice me. And again, we don't have our thinking brain online when we're doing that. So we're going to play next one of our very favorite videos where I think somebody really brings this home in a very relatable way.
No one else than me. Mom, are you ready to be his friend?
Yes.
Try not to be that high up to be friends. I want everything to be low. Okay?
Okay.
Just try your best. I don't want you and my dad to be replaced and meanies again. I want you and my dad to be placed as settled and be friends. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want everyone to be friends. And if I can be nice, I think all of us can be nice too. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to do my best in my heart. Nothing else than that. I want you, Mom, my dad, everyone to be friends. I want everyone to be smiling. Not like being mad. I want everything to smile. Especially when I see someone, I want them to smile. Especially Nana, everyone. I want everyone to smile. And if that's for my dad and you, Mom, I think you can do it. I think you can settle your mean heights down a little to short heights. Then it's both, okay? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a bully. I'm trying to be steady on the floor, not way down, on straight, on the middle where my heart is. My heart is something. Everyone else's heart is something too. And if we live in a world where everyone's being mean, everyone's gonna be a monster in their future. What if there's just a little bit of persons and we will eat them? Then no one will ever be here. Only the monsters in our place. We need everyone to be a person. Everyone, including me and my mom, everyone. I just want everything to be settled down. Nothing else. I just want everything to be good as possible. Nothing else.
Thank you, Tiana. Come and give mommy chụp chụp. I love you.
I love you too.
I've never seen anyone who gets it the way she does. I mean, clearly she's trying to bring her parents back to the window of tolerance and teaching them about that.
And not all the way down, right?
Yeah.
Not shut off, steady where our heart is.
Her heart is. Yeah.
Not up, not too far down, because either one is a disconnect, and she gets that. So we want to pay attention to that as we go forward.
Okay. So, as I mentioned before, there's this issue of when we get triggered into threat places, our frontal lobe, the amygdala takes over and initiates those responses, because in true life and death situations, they have to be immediate. And the frontal lobes shut down to facilitate that. So we have our last short video in a moment where Dan Siegel is well known for currently giving a lot of information to the field about neuropsychology and how our biological systems work. And he is known for this hand model of the brain, which he does in his lectures. And he has it where this is the brain stem, this is the base of the skull, you know, the hip, all of the limbic regions, including the amygdala, are here. And then the prefrontal cortex is over the top of it as a regulator. And the video will talk about what happens when the prefrontal cortex leaves the building.
The upstairs brain can control what's happening in the downstairs.
That's why it's over top of it.
That's why it's over top of it. That's right. Yes, that's the reason it's there. It's actually the reason we can all sit in an auditorium like this for 2.5 hours rather than looking for berries or something. So we have this cortex, right? So now what happens is, if this thing is firing enough, this downstairs brain is firing enough. Here's what happens. It fires, 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 fires. And pretty soon, it's going to make it so the ability of my upstairs brain to maintain the coordination and balance of the downstairs brain gets a little on the edge. And think of the experience of someone hanging off a cliff, right? You're hanging on, you're still hanging on, you're still hanging on, you're still hanging on, and you can feel yourself shaking. But what happens when you let go?
Yeah, eventually you're.
When you let go, you are going. It's the same way with the upstairs brain. It holds on, it holds on, it holds on, it holds on, and there's a bunch of parents smiling, so you know what's about to happen. It's talking about our brains. It's holding on, it's holding on, it's holding on, and suddenly the firing from the downstairs brain is too much. The grip is lost. And watch what happens. This is why it happens so quickly, you guys. This now no longer is coordinating and balancing it. That's the first thing. So now this is now erupts out because it's no longer contained, which turns this way, way off. So within 2-3 seconds, you go from kind of being a reasonable human being to flipping your lid. Haven't any of you?
Right.
So,
Right. Anybody have an experience of just, you know, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, and something hits and it's right out.
right. And then later you go, who was that person?
Right, right.
This is also known as the amygdala hijack. And as Dan Siegel talked about, how quickly it happens. And in intimate relationships, especially quickly, because we are so tuned to the nuances of our partner's behavior. So it happens in this circular way. you want to tell your partner something that's important to you, but something in it comes across as annoyance and anger to them, then they perceive an aggressive attack, and then their amygdala gets hijacked. And this is another way of looking at it visually. You think you are approaching your partner like this, but your partner sees you approaching like this. And so you are not getting the response that you expected. You're getting a very different response, and then you get triggered. And that's when not good things happen, which is what we're going to be talking about next.
And when we think about it, you know, the things that we think we let our partner know that we really need them, you know, like that we really miss them. I'm just really worried about you. Now, the partner isn't going to hear that they're worried about you. They're going to see the saber-toothed tiger. So that tone or the facial expression is going to just, and the other side of it is what we really want to say is, I'm just really worried, right? And that sounds so different than the first thing, but we don't know it when we're feeling agitated and out of that window of time.
So we're going to talk about what we do when we are in a danger, caution, or safe zone. And the way that this relates to the window of tolerance, the red zone, the danger zone, we are out of the window of tolerance. Caution, we're approaching the edges of the window of tolerance, and that thing that's kind of hanging on is just beginning to let go, or where we're in that safe window of tolerance zone. Okay. Elizabeth?
Okay, so in the red zone, nothing good happens. Nothing. We're not, our thinking brain has left the house. We're gone. It's done. So what we can do is a number of things. We can take an agreed upon timeout. And when I say agreed upon timeout, not when you're in the red zone, because when we're in the red zone, if we're the person that feels abandoned by our partner, or we want to talk right now, and our partner says, not now, give me a few minutes, we're going to only escalate more. So what we want to do is when we're in a green zone, to talk about how long we might need for an agreed upon timeout. One person in a partnership might feel like 6 or 7 weeks is a good time, and the other person might feel that 30 seconds is a good time, and that's certainly when we're in the red zone. When we're in the green zone, we might have a time that we can settle on. So when we're in the red zone, if we have an agreed upon timeout, we can both go to our corners. The thing that we want to do there, though, is we don't want to replay or rehearse the conflict and our next moves. You know, he or she said this, and then and I think I'm going to say this next time. If we do that, we're just going to keep going. Now, what John Gottman, another marriage researcher, has said is that he's done some research on this, and it takes about 20 minutes when we're out of the window of tolerance, in the red zone, to actually just come back down into that window of tolerance and where we can feel and deal. However, if we're rehearsing it, of course, it won't happen. It will just keep, you're in the same place. So you can do all sorts of things. You can do something physical. I love to go for a bike ride or a run. That helps me. Or I meditate, or I go for a swim. Something physical for me always does it, or I can meditate. But we want to find something that will help us calm down. Maybe we watch kittens on YouTube. Maybe we knit, maybe we meditate, maybe we do something else, but we do something that we know is good for us. We could watch funny clips on YouTube. And then we can come back and be with our partner in a very different kind of way. But when we're in that red zone, and that means if we're really escalated or really shut down. Now, I just want to say one thing about the red zone is when somebody is really shut down, we often have somebody in the red zone really escalated, and they'll say, look at that. He or she doesn't even care. Look, can you see their face? Right? So somebody is deadpan. If you do some physiological measures on them, you find that the person who is really upset, their heart rate is up, everything is up, all the way up. And then the person who looks shut down, what's surprising is that their physiological measures are just as extreme, but on the outside, they do look checked out. But inside, their physiology is going haywire too. So we want to notice that and remember that when we're out of the window of tolerance, both people's thinking brain has checked out, is nowhere to be found.
Right. And so the most important thing to remember, and I always tell my couples this too, is that stop.
Yeah.
There, when either person is there, to recognize in yourself those signs, recognize in your partner that nothing good will happen here. Any interaction is gonna go south. So there's this in between, we call it the yellow zone, where you are recognizing signs that you are becoming more activated. Maybe you're moving up towards the top edge or the bottom edge of that window of tolerance, and you're getting some clues that you might be close to a limit. And be aware that you could easily go out. Sometimes the emotion here, and when we work as therapists, we talk about actually working therapeutically in an upper range, because you want emotion present to work with it, to get the information that it's telling you that's so valuable, but not to go out. When we are sharing these powerful emotions, if we can do that in a more regulated way, that's where we can move towards greater intimacy with our partner too, as long as we stay present with our own experience. So some of the things that activate our mirror neurons, synchronized breathing, what Gottman calls soft startups, where you lead into a difficult discussion gently with good things first, and then moving into the things that you feel important to talk about in this time. And I think the other thing about mirror neurons, it's a little bit on the next page too. I want to reference Stan Tatkin, who talks about when you're getting here, when a conflict is just beginning and it hasn't super escalated, he talks about how important it is to go face to face, eye to eye. He talks about how many conflicts happen in the car because we are looking forward, we are not seeing our partner. And as he talks about, predator cues tend to come from peripheral vision. So things can really escalate. But if you go face to face, the other thing that happens in so many of our fights is we start making up our partner. They think this, they think that, they're doing this, their motivation is that. And it's harder to make them up when we're looking in their eyes. Now, in the red zone, face to face can be triggering because remember that. But at this point, as the conflict is beginning, really engage. So you're not making them up and their responses up in your head. So it's good here too to have a prearranged signal system, things that you found that you as a couple can do. Things like syncing breathing. Gottman also, Tatkin also has this really nice intervention where you're tossing a ball. So if you're doing a synchronous activity, it makes it harder to be asynchronous. So just doing something rhythmic together. That's why couples taking a walk together or a bike ride together also synchronizing. The butterfly hug that comes from EMDR, kind of back and forth, kind of soothing. Breathing, longer out breath than in breath. So just moving us through this so we get to the end here. Okay. So in the green zone, that's your solidly in that window of tolerance. This is where you want to be. You're safe to fully engage. Your mutual regulation system is working, like the mom and the baby in that good and ending parts where you're synchronizing well. And this is the time to talk about those scenarios we discussed. And it can still be hard. I mean, we sometimes have to have hard conversations where we truly do disagree. But if we're in this place, it's easier for us to understand our partner's point of view and to be more clear about expressing our own in a non-blaming and non-accusatory way. So Elizabeth and I are going to access our inner Stanislavski, and what we want you to observe, we're looping back to those scenarios that we started at the beginning, and we're going to be partners discussing those in a red zone, a yellow zone, and a green zone. And what we're asking you to notice is the difference in tone, in cadence, in how things are evolving in those different zones. Okay, are you ready, Elizabeth?
I am ready.
Okay. You don't care if I live or die.
You're crazy. Nothing's gonna happen. Get over it. What is wrong with you? You're just too upset about this. Ugh.
It's moving to more of a yellow zone.
Right. So nothing good happens there, right?
Right, nothing.
Well, right.
Just get out of there. Get out of Dodge. In a yellow zone, I'm scared for my life, and it feels like you just don't get that I could actually die here. You know, I have some risk factors. I just don't think you get it.
Am I supposed to stop my life? Stop living just because you are? I mean, I get that you're afraid, but come on. Is this a little bit too much? You know, don't you want to back it off a little bit?
Okay, so we could kind of go either way there. We could kind of flip up to you don't care,
Right.
or
Because I'm still blaming a little bit. And if I bring it back of but it's just so uncomfortable. You know, I can come either way there.
You know, I think a lot of my fears are actually pretty reasonable given what's going on. And I get so scared. I don't want our kids to grow up without a mother. I don't want you to die, our kids to die. I'm just feeling really scared.
I get it. I get it. And I don't want you not to feel like you can't tell me about that. And I don't want to dismiss you. I just get flooded a little bit. And I know I'm not scared the way you are, but I'm flooded because I'm not sure what to do. And I want to figure this out. I feel like we get stuck. So I just want to be able to talk about it and figure this out for us.
Okay, so from there, people are more able to go on and actually have a problem-solving conversation. Okay, so this is another one that we're seeing a lot, where people are differing in how they are handling the children. Where one partner wants the kids just right at home all the time, the other thinks they absolutely have to be out, and they aren't on the same page with this. You don't care about our children the way I do, or, and maybe this is even more important, the danger that they put me or my aging parents in. I mean, you say it's fine that he goes out with that friend. We don't know where that friend has been, and he could come back, he could give it to me, he could, and I still have to help my mother out, you know, and I'll kill her.
Oh my goodness! Can you think that I don't care about our kids? Do you know me? Have you met me? They are fine, and they just have to get out of the house. What is wrong with you?
Okay, so more of a yellow zone.
That's a blame, you know, fingers pointing, and both. And you hear the prosody, the anger, we're upset. Okay.
Absolutely. And all of that is just serving to make us more upset back and forth.
Right.
We're in a very bad loop. For yellow, you know, I'm afraid sometimes that you just don't get that we're all still in a lot of danger. Yeah, the world is opening up a little bit, but this isn't over. We're still in a lot of danger. And if they go play with a friend, they could come back and get us all sick.
Yeah, I know, but they're kids. They need to get out. You know, they can't stay locked up forever. Look at what's going to happen to them developmentally. You know, we can't put bubble wrap around them and stick them in a room all day. We just have to trust it a little bit.
Okay, so that's not quite as awful as the red zone, but we're still kind of.
We're at the edge. We're still in there, we still have our thinking brains, but they're hanging on by a thread. As Dan Siegel said, you know, the neurons are firing.
You know, it's not that I don't see your point. I know the kids are going crazy. I know they need stimulation. And I want them to be around to have that, and us to be around to help them. And I get very scared. Like, what if they lose us or their grandparents? I want us all to survive.
Yeah, I know. I get it. And you know, I want that too. I want all of us to live a long life. I want us to survive this. And I know we're all a little stir crazy. And I just don't know quite what to do, because I feel like I want to find a way to have the kids get some stimulation and get out, and me to have some stimulation and get out, and for us to be safe. And I don't want you to feel scared. And I really want to work with you on how we can do that.
Good. Very different, you know, voice tone, threat levels to the other. And then there's this issue of trust. Is someone really being honest about how socially distanced they're being? Did you wash your hands? Did you keep socially distanced? And did you really, you told me you wiped down the groceries, but did you really? And what did you do with your clothes when you came home? I know you had to go help your parents and get them their groceries, but what did you touch? Did you use the bathroom in their house? The reason I don't trust you, I take it seriously. And so you might just tell me what I want to hear, not what's really true.
Don't you trust me? You think I'm 5 years old? You think I don't know how to wash my hands? You don't think I know how to wash my hands? You don't think I want to keep the kids safe? What is wrong with you? Just back off. You told me what you needed to do. I'm doing what you need me to do. And let's just move on.
I don't trust that for a minute.
Right. Who would, right? Okay.
In the yellow zone. I'm so scared. I see what you do. You know, you might be saying things that will calm me down, but I'm afraid out there you might just do what you think is right that will keep us safe.
Yeah, I know. It drives me crazy that you don't trust me. I know, and I don't want to react to you, but I want you to trust that I can wash my hands. I can do the things that I'm supposed to do. I know that you want to keep us safe. It's just really hard when I feel like you're looking at everything that I do, and it's hard. You're not trusting me. And I want us to be able to talk about it and do better, but it's kind of hard. It's driving me crazy a little bit.
Okay. So in the green zone, you know, I don't want to treat you like a little kid. I know I'm not your mother, and I don't want that kind of relationship with you. It's just that I'm so scared. I feel unless I see it or do it myself, I'm not safe. I know my anxiety is over the top, but I can't seem to do anything about it except be vigilant all the time. And I really need to be able to talk with you about it without you being so annoyed with me. And it's when I can't express it, it gets even worse.
I really get it. And you know that I hate it that you're so anxious. It just breaks my heart. And I know how hard this is for you. And I know what things it triggers. And so I want you to know I'm in this with you. We're a team together. And I know you're scared and you want us to be safe. And I know when I get annoyed, it doesn't help you. It pushes you back. It pushes your anxiety up. And I don't want to do that. I just want to make it better. So let's see if we can talk about it and figure out some solutions, because I know we need to. And please continue to tell me about it, and I will do my best to try and listen. I know sometimes I get short, but it's not my intent. And I'm in it with you.
Okay.
So are there people, so as you see, we want to really start to focus on how to talk to partners in ways that are so different. And with this threat on the outside, it's easy to get dysregulated and to flip out of that window of tolerance. And so we want to really work on those strategies to stay either green or yellow, and have some signaling systems for ourselves. If we feel something's going and I'm getting more agitated, actually to say something, "Ooh, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety. I feel like I could get really upset. Can you stay with me right now?" Think about that little kid in the video in the still phase. What did she say when she came back? "I'm here. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. We're a team together," right? So anything, any communication that we can give to our partner to say, we're still in this together. Now we do have we have 5 minutes over the talk, and we have a few minutes now. If people want to ask questions, Christina, are there questions that you want to bring to us? We also have emails here if people needed to touch base with us.
Just to point out that the PowerPoint is available without videos, because that would be too big.
Right.
But the PowerPoint is available in the store, and also in the store is an infographic that the students in our couples clinic put together. They have some graphic design talents. So it's a really good one on a lot of the affect regulation strategies we talked about, and even some additional ones. So I'd recommend you take a look at that.
Okay. Christina?
So,
yeah.
Yep, I have 2 questions that came through the chat. The first is from Melissa. She asked, how does attachment perspective apply to ethical non-monogamy and managing multiple intimate relationships?
Okay, great question. And
another whole talk, but
that's the whole talk, right? And actually, this comes up a lot in the couples clinic, because we have had a number of couples dealing with that, and it's a very complicated thing. But attachment is still very much the case, because if you will have certain kinds of attachment relationships with each, no matter how many people you have in whatever grouping or polyamorous situation that you have, everybody's attachment style will be invested in that. And that is one of the complicated dynamics when you have a number of different people in that. And I think, for example, ethical non-monogamy can work fine. One of the things that is really important there is clear contracts, understandings about what is and isn't okay. So I think if you have a framework, I mean, the security would also be in that framework, that you would trust your partner about what they do or what they're saying that they do, or and so I think if there are very clear boundaries, and that works within everyone's attachment style. Elizabeth, do you have other things to?
No, you nailed it. Thank you, Karen.
And then I have one other question that's coming in from Jim. It says, do you provide any workshops to professionals who are not able to take classes at GSAPP? Also, what resources would you recommend to therapists to read to do better couples work?
Oh, that's great. Well, in the couples clinic, we do, because it's good for students to work with a clear model when they're starting out. We use the emotionally focused couples therapy model of Susan Johnson. So her stuff, one of the books we recommend to our students who are starting is Stepping into Emotionally Focused Couple Therapy. It's a good primer for beginners. Some of Sue Johnson's books itself don't always walk you through all the steps. So that's a really good book. John Gottman is also one of my favorites. He's published a number of things. Also a lot of trainings, and even online trainings now, I think, in the Gottman method, really good. Stan Tatkin is another. He has a really good YouTube video out right now, actually talking about some of these things. So those are some good resources. And certainly you email us, and we'll be happy to provide some other links.
And there are some resources at the last page too, right? The references?
Yes, it's Yeah, they're a little,
Oh, yeah.
a little dense, but
Okay.
and here are our contact emails in case you want to email us. We do actually, of course, the pandemic has put a halt on that, but we run workshops for couples 5 times a year, and a lot of professionals have attended them to get really immersive experience themselves. And this is more Sue Johnson's model. She really developed these Hold Me Tight workshops based on her attachment model. And professionals have both taken them, and professionals have been assistants to us and kind of also learn the model that way.
And you learn it really from the inside out, because what we do is experientially, we run through the model through the workshop, but experientially. So you get a real feel and flavor for what the work is. And we integrate, John Gottman and Stan Tatkin and other couples therapists and researchers in that workshop. And that is, we don't, holdmetightnj.com. You can look at them on at that website.
I just want to clarify really quickly. I have my computer and my phone up. I'm having problems. I don't know why I keep getting kicked out of my computer. The PowerPoint is available. Yes, Becca. Thank you, Becca. You typed it faster than my phone. I'm trying to do both and look back and forth here. If you go to the top of your screen, you should see a little green, it looks like a house on the top of your screen. If you go to the main lobby, there is a store in there. And I do know that it's listed because I've seen it. I went to it. I made sure it opened. Their presentation is in there for download. You can get all of this information there. If you have any problems finding it, you just have to get back to the main screen where you entered this whole beautiful journey of a day. That's where you need to be, and look for the little store icon. And there's a bunch of resources on top of this beautiful presentation. So you'll find it in there for download.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
A lot of bravos, a lot of great jobs.
Oh,
So
thank you.
very much.
It's been lovely to be here. So
thanks
thank
to
you.
everyone for coming and joining us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Christina. Thanks for all your help.
Yes, thanks.
You got it.
And everybody else for participating.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, let's see. Oh, Elizabeth, are you still on? Did you left?
Just wanted to say hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good.
Yeah.
So
It was wonderful.
What are you up to these days?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What are you up to these days?
Oh, I'm still working at JMU in the counseling center, and then I'm also doing some private practice in the community. And I just started seeing my first couple during COVID.
Yeah.
Over Zoom.
What a way to begin.
Yeah. So it's been good. So
I was worried when we first, this first happened. I thought, well, couples therapy just can't happen. That's just not going to work. But it does. And even our students are continuing with their couples. They're even picking up new couples, and it works.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's a lot easier for people to adjust to the whole idea of it now. It doesn't feel as strange, I think, as it used to.
Much more. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's so great to see you.
You too. You too. This was a really great opportunity. I feel like the conference and to get to check in. I watched some of Nancy's earlier too, and so yeah.
No, and the opportunity to, I mean, just see your face again after all this. You know, there's not that many opportunities that come.
Yeah. It's great.
This era does have some advantages.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Hi, Dr. Skeen. This is Janaba. How are you?
Good. How are you?
How was the presentation? I was in another presentation, but I wanted to pop in to tell folks to don't forget about the last few workshops, and to make sure, because is yours over? Did it end already?
Yes,
Okay. You guys are just in here chit-chatting and connecting and everything. That's good. That's awesome. So can I do a quick announcement really quick?
Sure. I think most people are gone, but welcome to.
There's actually some people still in here, which is very interesting. People are listening. So if you guys can go to the agenda, there's a couple more workshops, I believe, that we have at 4 o'clock. But you can also visit the exhibit hall. You can look at the resource directory. And you can also visit gazette.rutgers.edu. If you click on the school link on the main lobby page, you'll be able to learn about our academic programs, our programs and centers, and all the wonderful research that our faculty, staff, and students do at the Graduate School of Applied and Professional Psychology. We really hope you enjoyed today's summit, that you stay until the very, very end. And if you have any questions or concerns, there's a help desk there, and there should be some email addresses as well associated with that. So enjoy the rest of your day. And do you want me to keep this going? You guys want to keep this party going?
Just to be sure everyone who wanted to say hi has a chance to say hi.
I can't hear you, Dr. Skeen.
Oh, oops. Did she mute me?
No. I hear you, but it was just low.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Okay. That's crazy. Yeah. So I'm not sure if people are really here or
it's just so logged in.
Just walk away.
Okay. So I'm going to end the meeting then. Is that okay?
We'll find another time. We can talk soon, Karen.
Good to see you, Tracy.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.